Reading the title of this might lead someone to think this will be about the detailed techniques of sharing intimate moments from some experts. However, that is not the case. This is about affectionate intimacy, but the key here is that it centers around nurturing and understanding your partner's desires and needs. Have you ever wanted something for a special occasion like a birthday or Christmas and dropped hints to those close to you who might be buying gifts? Then, when the big day arrives and you unwrap the present, you find it's not quite what you were hoping for or even suggested. This kind of experience is all too common. The irony is that you are expected to be grateful and thankful for the gift, even though it's not exactly what you wanted. Of course, it is only right to appreciate the thought behind the gift and the fact that someone cared enough to get you something. Conversely, the person giving the gift, the one who decided to choose something based on their own perspective rather than yours, expects you to be happy and thankful for their choice. This mismatch in expectations can result in moments where there is a kind of polite pretending going on during the exchange of gifts. We've all experienced this scenario at some point in our lives. Now, I ask for your patience and grace as I share a bit of our personal story. Back in the 1970s, when we were in our early 20s and dating, we were not practicing Christians. Our young age and the exciting newness of romantic relationships meant that physical intimacy was a big part of our connection. It was thrilling, and, being young and full of energy, virtually anything we tried was a turn-on. Discretion wasn't top priority at the time either. From our perspective back then, it felt natural and unrestrained. We had affectionate moments in all sorts of places, sometimes in the bedroom, sometimes in more adventurous locations. I remember clearly the satisfaction I felt when I was able to genuinely please him and witness his complete enjoyment. Likewise, the feeling of him being able to bring me to my peak or high point was equally fulfilling. Everything felt perfect and harmonious in those early days. But as time went on, we discovered that not every experience was equally enjoyable for either of us. There were moments when one of us would try something that just didn't feel right or was uncomfortable. However, the more important part was that neither of us wanted to cause discomfort or unease. So naturally, if something didn't feel good or wasn't enjoyable, it simply stopped happening. Over time, this gradually led to a pattern where what we did was largely based on what we knew worked and what felt safe, rather than a continuous exploration of each other's desires and needs. This is where the importance of honest and open communication becomes clear. Sexual or intimate communication is more than just a buzzword or a cliche. It's truly the foundation of a satisfying relationship. This means that both partners must not only feel safe to express what they want, but also genuinely listen to what the other needs. It goes beyond simply doing what you enjoy. The true blessing comes when we learn to give and share in ways that make our partner happy, bringing them pleasure and satisfaction. For both of us, the thrill of spontaneously expressing affection in the way our partner enjoys it most, without expecting anything in return, though it often happens naturally, has always been a huge turn-on. I can recall countless times where one of us was completely focused on pleasing the other, moving in rhythm and with intention, so turned on by the act of seeing our partner's pleasure that it almost consumed us. These moments were filled with deep connection and excitement, as well as tenderness and care. One major pitfall in relationships is assuming that we already know everything there is to know about intimacy and that what worked at one point will always work for the rest of our lives. The truth is that people change, desires evolve, and what excited us yesterday may not be what excites us today or tomorrow. Expecting a partner to be content with the same pattern of affection forever, without growth or exploration, can be harmful to the relationship and reduces the potential for true emotional and physical closeness. Life inevitably draws us into a swirl of responsibilities: getting married, having children, buying homes, taking care of pets, managing careers, and financial pressures. These are important and beautiful parts of life, but they also tend to chip away at the privacy and intimacy we once enjoyed freely. It takes conscious effort to protect and cultivate intimacy in the midst of life's busyness. Along the way, we found faith and joined a church, becoming practicing Christians. This added another layer of complexity to how we viewed affection and intimacy. We began to hear many different opinions about what was right and wrong in the context of our relationship words and teachings from friends, mentors, and church leaders. But we learned that just because someone feels compelled to share their thoughts does not mean their perspective is the right one for us. I've known women who disliked giving affection in certain ways so much that they eventually stopped sharing intimate times with their husbands altogether. I've also seen men who felt defeated and unwanted because no matter what they did, it seemed like it wasn't enough. These feelings can erode the foundation of a marriage and leave couples feeling disconnected from one another. When two people enter into marriage, they commit to a monogamous relationship. This commitment means that their spouse is the sole source of physical and emotional intimacy. If one partner consistently withholds or refuses to meet the other's needs, it opens the door to frustration and potentially unfaithful thoughts or actions. It's crucial then for both partners to actively give not what they want to give, but what their spouse needs in order to feel loved, desired, and fulfilled. This requires mutual cooperation and a heartfelt desire to honor one another. Through our own journey, we experienced what we've come to call a sexual revolution within our marriage, which was fueled by honest communication, trust, and willingness to explore each other's needs openly. This revolution redefined our connection and brought us closer than ever before. It wasn't about perfection or following any rigid rules, but rather a sacred dance of mutual respect and ongoing discovery. Ultimately, the lesson here is simple but profound. Relationships thrive when both people listen and learn from each other, when they give generously not only of their bodies, but also of their hearts, and when they embrace the ongoing adventure of shared intimacy with patience and grace. As time went on, we began to realize that not every intimate experience was pleasurable for both of us. Sometimes, one of us would try to express affection in a way that simply didn't feel right or became uncomfortable. The natural reaction might be to keep pushing through or awkwardly pretend it's okay, but that only leads to frustration and distance. Instead, what ended up happening between us was that when something didn't feel good, we just stopped doing it. Gradually, what remained was a smaller set of familiar actions, those that each of us knew and liked. This pattern might seem harmless, but it can slowly narrow the scope of intimacy, making it routine and predictable rather than vibrant and fulfilling. This experience made us understand the absolute importance of clear, honest, and open communication about intimacy. And when we say communication, we don't mean brief or vague comments. We mean deep, ongoing conversations where both partners feel safe and encouraged to honestly share what they truly want and need without fear of judgment or rejection. Equally important is the ability to listen carefully and respectfully to your partner's desires. It's not enough to only speak your own wishes. Listening attentively and responding with empathy is the foundation of mutual happiness. Giving to your partner what brings them pleasure, satisfaction, and happiness is the key to a thriving, intimate connection. This may involve discovering new ways of expressing affection or adjusting how you approach familiar acts. When one partner feels genuinely heard and their needs are met, it creates a cycle of giving that feels rewarding for both. For many, it can be a transformative experience, fostering closeness that goes beyond the physical and touches the heart. On a personal note, both of us agree that spontaneous acts of affection, performed in ways our partner deeply enjoys, can be incredibly exciting and deeply bonding. These moments rarely happen through obligation. They come from genuine desire to please and connect. I recall countless times when one of us was focused entirely on the other's pleasure, fully engaged and responsive. The energy and passion in those moments were palpable, sometimes accompanied by movements that expressed our excitement so intensely that we could barely contain ourselves, even as we were physically grounded on a mattress, floor, or sofa. One pitfall we caution against is entering intimate moments with the assumption that you already know everything your partner desires. No matter how long you have been together, people change, and tastes can evolve. What might have delighted your partner a year or even a month ago may no longer have the same effect. Holding on to the idea that the old ways are the best ways can stunt growth and limit the full potential of your connection. Moreover, expecting your partner to be satisfied indefinitely with familiar routines can be harmful. Relationships thrive on willingness to explore, experiment, and learn together. When one partner quietly resigns to a stale pattern and the other fails to notice, both lose out on the freshness and excitement that comes with mutual discovery. It's important to reawaken curiosity and maintain an open dialogue, so intimacy remains a source of joy rather than a chore. Life's demands also have a natural way of taking a toll on intimacy. As we moved through marriage, parenthood, career pressures, and daily responsibilities, we found that these priorities often crowded out time and energy once devoted to nurturing our connection. From buying houses to managing daily chores, all these beautiful milestones sometimes felt like barriers to privacy and closeness. It takes conscious effort to protect intimate time and create moments where you can reconnect without distractions. Another layer we encountered was the influence of our spiritual journey. As we embraced Christianity and became part of a faith community, we were exposed to various opinions about what is considered appropriate or inappropriate in marital affection. While community guidance can be valuable, it's important to recognize that not every perspective fits every couple. Sometimes rules or fears imposed by well-meaning voices can create shame or guilt around natural desires, which only complicate honest communication between partners. Sadly, we have known couples where one partner's negative feelings towards affectionate sharing led to shutting down intimacy entirely. In one case, a woman's aversion to certain expressions of love caused a complete halt in physical connection with her husband, damaging their relationship deeply. On the other hand, some men we know shared feelings of defeat and inadequacy, believing nothing they did could satisfy their spouse. These stories serve as cautionary tales, underscoring the critical need for open dialogue and mutual understanding. Marriage is a commitment to monogamy, not only in the sense of exclusivity, but also as a promise that your spouse is the sole place where you seek physical and emotional satisfaction. When either partner refuses to meet the other's needs, whether out of reluctance, discomfort, or lack of communication, it creates gaps that can foster resentment and distance. Such cracks in the foundation may lead to harmful thoughts or actions that threaten the relationship. Therefore, both partners have a responsibility to actively give not what they selfishly want to offer, but what their spouse truly needs. This is not a one-sided task. It requires mutual effort, patience, and willingness to learn and grow together. Sometimes this means stepping outside comfort zones or challenging preconceived notions. Other times it means listening more than talking and practicing verbal and nonverbal cues to guide each other toward pleasure and satisfaction. Our personal transformation, what we call our sexual revolution, came through this kind of honest, ongoing communication. Instead of assuming or guessing, we talked openly about what really excited us and what didn't. This wasn't always easy, especially early on when cultural and spiritual expectations made certain topics feel taboo. But with time, trust, and courage, we broke through those barriers. The rewards were powerful. A marriage once marked by routine became a space of discovery and delight. We found ourselves continuously learning new things about each other, deepening emotional connection alongside physical pleasure. The process required vulnerability, care, and most importantly, respect for each other's boundaries and desires. Intimate communication is not a one-time conversation, but a lifelong dialogue. It's a dynamic dance of give and take, adjustment and response, encouragement and affirmation. Being able to say what you want clearly and listen with empathy transforms intimacy from a mechanical routine into a living, breathing expression of love. Ultimately, embracing this approach enhances not only your intimate life, but your overall relationship. When both people feel heard, honored, and satisfied, the partnership flourishes on every level. The space of affection becomes safe, exciting, and fulfilling, a sanctuary amid the complexities of life. In the end, the lesson is simple but profound. Heartfelt communication about intimacy is the key to meeting each other's deepest needs and creating a shared experience of joy and connection. Without it, even the strongest relationships may struggle. With it, love becomes a source of endless renewal and happiness. As we moved forward in life, many of the early sparks of excitement in our intimate relationship faced new challenges. We got married and continued on the expected path, raising children, buying a home, then perhaps another, getting dogs, working jobs, and juggling the myriad responsibilities that come with building a life together. While these milestones brought joy and fulfillment in their own ways, they also placed demands on our time, energy, and privacy. The hustle and bustle of everyday life slowly chipped away at the spontaneous moments of closeness we once shared. What used to be effortless sometimes required intentional focus and planning. Alongside these changes, our journey led us to embrace a deeper faith. Joining a church and grounding ourselves as practicing Christians added a new dimension to our lives and marriage. It also introduced a variety of voices, friends, mentors, and leaders, each offering their own ideas about what was right or wrong within a marital relationship. Navigating those varying opinions required discernment. We learned early on that not every perspective shared by others fit our unique dynamic, and some teachings, while well-intentioned, felt restrictive. Over time, we witnessed how this external pressure affected others around us as well. I've had friends who deeply disliked certain expressions of intimacy with their spouses, sometimes to the point where they stopped being physically close altogether. In at least one heartbreaking case, a wife's strong aversion to affectionate sharing led to an emotional and physical distance so severe that the marriage suffered greatly. On the other side, my husband knew men who felt powerless and unwanted, trapped in cycles where their efforts seemed futile, eroding their confidence and happiness within marriage. These experiences were reminders that intimacy isn't just about physical acts, but also about emotional availability, acceptance, and mutual effort. Marriage, at its core, is a monogamous partnership, not only in terms of commitment and exclusivity, but also as the exclusive space for physical and emotional fulfillment. When one partner withholds or refuses to meet the other's needs, it creates an imbalance. This gap can breed frustration, loneliness, and even temptations that threaten the integrity of the relationship. The reality is that each spouse is the only one their partner has for intimate connection, so neglecting those needs is a serious matter with emotional consequences. Because of this, it is incumbent on both partners to prioritize giving not what they want to offer selfishly, but what their spouse truly needs. Doing so requires selflessness, empathy, and cooperation. It means sometimes setting aside personal discomfort to be willing to explore what brings joy to your partner. The process should always be grounded in respect and consent, ensuring that both feel safe and cared for in the sharing of intimacy. Neither partner should feel forced or neglected. Instead, it's a dance of mutual generosity and understanding. Our own intimate revolution came about when we embraced this kind of honest and open communication. We stopped assuming we already understood each other completely and instead asked questions, shared desires, and listened without judgment. This required vulnerability and patience, as well as a willingness to face any awkwardness that those conversations might bring. Yet, the rewards were worth it. We rediscovered each other in ways that deepened both our emotional bond and our physical connection. We realized that this ongoing dialogue is essential for keeping intimacy alive and meaningful. It's not a one-time talk, but a journey of continuous learning and adaptation. Our desires, needs, and bodies change over time, and so must our approaches to affection and pleasure. With regular communication, it becomes easier to navigate these changes together instead of growing apart. Strikingly, we found that expanding our understanding of each other's desires shattered many preconceived notions and allowed new joy and excitement to enter our relationship. We learned to be spontaneous while still considering each other's comfort zones. We discovered new ways to express love and affection that brought us closer emotionally and physically. At the same time, we cultivated respect for boundaries and learned to gracefully accept when something was not wanted. As life continues to evolve with its inevitable ups and downs, health challenges, emotional stresses, family changes, our intimate connection remains a priority. We recognize that there will be times when our physical relationship slows down or requires different expressions of care. What matters most is that the foundation of communication and mutual respect stays strong, allowing us to adjust and support each other with love. In the end, our experience has shown that intimacy is not a static or rigid part of marriage, but a dynamic, living aspect that requires attention, honesty, and heart. When nurtured well, it becomes a source of strength and joy, a safe harbor amid life's storms. Through understanding, patience, and ongoing cooperation, couples can create fulfilling, passionate relationships that grow deeper and more satisfying over time. Throughout our relationship, one of the most significant breakthroughs came from what we fondly refer to as our intimate revolution and transformation, fueled by honest communication and mutual willingness to explore our desires openly. This evolution required us to confront fears and cultural taboos, especially those shaped by our religious background and societal norms. Often, early in relationships, both partners hesitate to fully disclose what truly excites them because of concern about being judged or misunderstood. This is even more prominent in religious marriages, where certain interests or preferences might be prematurely labeled as inappropriate or unchristian. Overcoming these barriers became a vital part of deepening our connection. We realized that genuine intimacy cannot flourish without vulnerability and transparency, even about topics that might initially feel uncomfortable or taboo. The decision to engage in open dialogue about our desires led us to discover new dimensions of pleasure and trust we hadn't known existed. One major misstep couples often make is assuming they already know the best or right way to share affection. This mindset closes doors to exploration and stunts growth. For example, many believe that intimate moments must only happen within the four walls of the bedroom. But in reality, affectionate expressions can be shared almost anywhere with imagination and respect for boundaries. Whether it's a quiet moment during a road trip, a secret touch at a family gathering, or a loving glance across a busy room, these spontaneous acts of affection can ignite passion and reinforce connection. Recognizing this freedom allowed us to keep our relationship fresh and exciting, even after many years together. Understanding each other's unique preferences is fundamental. What brings pleasure and satisfaction to one partner may be entirely different from what excites the other. This is why we stress the importance of continuous affectionate communication. Sharing desires, boundaries, and comfort levels openly creates a safe space where both partners feel valued and heard. It encourages trying new things but also knowing when to respectfully say no. We learned that intimate encounters are not solely focused on one spot or act. True enjoyment arises from attentive, loving care to all areas of connection. Paying close attention to subtle cues, soft touches, whispers, even changes in breath or body language guides the experience and deepens mutual pleasure. Communication often happens in many ways simultaneously. Verbal encouragement, encouraging moans or sighs, gentle guiding hands, and eye contact. These nonverbal expressions are just as crucial as spoken words in building confidence and trust. In our experience, when a woman experiences an ecstatic, deeply satisfying climax shared in trust with her partner, it increases the desire for more such moments. There have been times when I personally have enjoyed multiple waves of pleasure within one intimate session, sometimes reaching several climaxes spaced over the period. It's not always a straight path, but a dance of ebb and flow, driven by sustained attention and patience. These moments often inspire both of us to heighten the intensity, with me holding firmly onto his head, my heels pressing into his back, or riding with vigorous excitement, eyes closed, fully immersed in sensation. Sometimes simple gestures like pinching a nipple or rhythmic movement add layers of pleasure that heighten the experience collectively. While we encourage trying new experiences, such as incorporating fingers or exploring less familiar areas, it is essential that both partners express clear consent and share any hesitation openly. Openness should never be mistaken for pressure. The joy comes from shared willingness and mutual enjoyment, not obligation. Respecting boundaries strengthens the foundation for deeper adventures. This approach has helped us grow past early hesitations and societal stigmas, enabling us to explore affectionate expressions that once seemed off limits. For instance, while I'm not particularly drawn to certain types of intimacy like anal play, there have been times when, with mutual agreement and careful communication, we ventured into that territory and found unexpected pleasure. Preparation, cleanliness, and patience are key ingredients when trying new experiences. Holding open conversations about feelings before, during, and after these moments builds trust and comfort. Over time, our intimate life has reached new heights of satisfaction and fulfillment. While health or emotional challenges temporarily slowed our physical connection at times, they never diminished our love or desire to maintain closeness. Instead, our bond grew stronger as we learned to adapt and support one another through all seasons of life. We cherish the fact that at our age, our affection and intimacy feel more satisfying than ever before. In essence, the foundation for such a fulfilling, intimate life is rooted in communication, mutual respect, and endless curiosity toward each other's pleasure. This requires courage to express desires freely, listen wholeheartedly, and a commitment to honoring one another's boundaries. It's a continual journey, not a destination, a journey that deepens love and connection with every step shared together. Tenderly encouraging a woman to reach her peak pleasure is an art that combines gentle touch, attentiveness, and open communication. Primarily, it involves using the tongue, lips, and mouth to create waves of sensation, while sometimes incorporating fingers or other tools as secondary aids. Through our journey together, I had to share with my husband something quite important, that often a woman approaches the edge of climax only to find the feeling ebb away before fully arriving. This can be incredibly frustrating, especially if it happens repeatedly. The risk is that she might give up too soon with a resigned, "That's okay, maybe next time," or the man's patience may wane, subtly reflected in less enthusiastic attention. But when both partners maintain focus and intent, the resulting release can be truly extraordinary. Today, this teasing approach is often called edging, meaning building up to the brink of climax, then intentionally pausing to intensify eventual pleasure. Interestingly, men can experience similar sensations, experiencing delay before reaching their peak. An essential part of this process is communication. When I say something like, "That's right, stay there, keep doing that," it's crucial not to improvise or switch tactics, but to keep doing exactly what is bringing the most pleasure. This kind of verbal and nonverbal feedback moans, gentle cries, sighs bolsters the partner's confidence and guides their actions. I also found it necessary to give clear verbal directions such as softer, harder, or move down a bit. While focusing on the most sensitive areas is natural, genuine enjoyment extends beyond to all the surrounding regions, the full landscape of a woman's intimate area, her inner thighs and pelvis. Soft, lingering kisses on inner thighs can awaken sensations unexpectedly powerful and deeply sensual. Without fail, the more attention and thoughtful care a woman receives, the more eager she becomes to revisit that pleasure. On many occasions, I've experienced multiple climaxes during one intimate session, sometimes 5 or 6 over hours. Sometimes this involves a combination of oral affection and other intimate acts, each adding layers of sensation. In moments when I am reaching a peak, I grip his head tightly, grinding and pressing while moaning, whimpering, or even whispering exciting words. Other times, I take control, mounting him, riding with enthusiasm reminiscent of a spirited race, my breasts bouncing, eyes squeezed shut in delight. Occasionally, I pinch my nipples or his, enhancing the pleasure we share together. There are also moments when I push my limits, tiredness creeping in, and extra assistance is welcomed. This may be his hands guiding my hips or pulling me further down, increasing stimulation in ways that revive my desire for climax. Watching educational or instructional videos online provides interesting tips, but they can never replace real communication between partners. It remains essential to continue exploring through honest conversation, finding the exact spots around her body that bring the greatest pleasure, the ideal pressure, whether firm or soft, and the right rhythm and vigor. For me, when my partner uses his fingers with a palm-up grip, slightly curved fingers just inside the opening, pressing gently against the soft inner area of my pelvis, combined with his attentive oral affection, the sensations reach new heights. Though anal intimacy isn't a favorite for me, occasionally when in the mood and with sufficient preparation and care, it can add pleasurable layers. Knowing everything is clean first is fundamental. Inserting a thumb or finger slowly with lubrication and patience while other fingers massage the inner walls of the intimate canal can evoke overwhelming sensations. Feeling the sphincter contract around his thumb as my other muscles respond deep inside can create a deeply enveloping experience. Of course, this requires honest conversations and mutual willingness. Both partners need to be comfortable and respectful of each other's boundaries. At our stage of life, we enjoy greater satisfaction than ever before, despite occasional health or emotional hurdles slowing us down temporarily. Fellatio, or the affectionate expression focused on a man, changes as time goes by. Aging brings natural changes that may result in less volume or longer times to reach climax. It's important for a wife not to assume these changes are due to her or to become discouraged. Every man is different, so communicating openly about preferences becomes even more vital. For my husband, enjoyment sometimes includes gentle pinching of his nipples while I pay attention to his intimate areas, or the occasional use of fingers. A practice called prostate massage, known for producing intense pleasure during climax, has become part of our shared experience. Though I have engaged in oral affection around sensitive areas with him, it's only when he feels clean and comfortable enough for me to do so. The sensation of gently tickling those areas with my tongue while looking up at his face, hearing his sounds of pleasure, deepens our connection. As he has aged, his climax has become more intense but takes longer to arrive. For me, the physical demands of giving affectionate expression with my mouth and lips can be tiring. We've found that combining oral attention with manual stimulation provides a helpful balance and allows me to rest briefly. Incorporating fingers and gentle fondling of his sensitive skin adds variety and enhances his pleasure. For instance, stroking the underside of the head, particularly the frenulum, a very sensitive area, can heighten feelings dramatically when touched properly. Using my hand to grip the shaft and moving up and down while simultaneously using my mouth and lips to suck and stroke creates a powerful sensation. Sometimes stroking and sucking together with firm hand pressure leads to fantastic climaxes. The gentle handling of the skin connecting the sac, testicles, to the base of the shaft adds another dimension of pleasure. It's important to note that this is not about squeezing the testicles roughly, but rather massaging and milking the skin and area around them gently. The use of lubrication eases movement and enhances sensation. During these moments, maintaining eye contact and showing visible enthusiasm has a profound effect. Looking directly into his eyes while being intimate strengthens the emotional bond and increases arousal for both of us. This guidance is shared with my husband nearby, offering his thoughts and suggestions based on mutual enjoyment. Writing this together reflects our hope that other couples will feel encouraged to openly communicate about what brings them pleasure and satisfaction. Sharing such experiences strengthens relationships and deepens trust, leading to greater happiness in the shared journey of intimacy.